Hi, so my name is Caitlin and I am a registered nurse. I got my license back in February. I've been working since April after a brief trip to Costa Rica, which was amazing. I highly recommend it. I discovered simple nursing after struggling in nursing one, and I passed it by 0.15, and my grades were not that good, but I was studying so much, so my grades were not reflective of how hard I was working. And I made a pact to myself that over the summer I would spend time working on test taking techniques and I would find a way to do better, and that's when I stumbled across simple nursing. It was very helpful to me. I loved it. It brought up my grades significantly. I had two scholarships. I also graduated in the top 10% of my class. It was life changing, honestly. So, today I'm going to go over some other websites and what they can do to improve the quality of information they present to nursing students, because I was one who struggled greatly. So, the first web page I want to talk about was Osmosis. They provide a lot of information about nursing, and I actually used it in nursing school for a few topics. They did a great job explaining information, and on the video I watched about endocarditis, they presented it well. It was succulent, it was clear, it was a good use of my time. They used layman's terms to provide information, which was a big thing because as nursing students, we're presented with a lot of information that we don't understand and we have to learn for the purpose of the class. So when we're being described something and they're using these big terms, it's almost frustrating because it's like, okay, we want to just get to the information and learn it. We don't want to be like drowned with all these like this big terminology that we have to look up and figure out as well. So the only thing I have to say about Osmosis that I didn't love was the fact that it didn't really explain priority and nursing interventions. That was the majority of what I was tested on in my program. It was interventions. What is the nurse going to do? What are they going to delegate? So that was one thing that they didn't provide. I'm not sure if it was meant for just nurses, but it's something that we needed to know. So the other website I wanted to talk about was Lecturia. Lecturio provides information, a lot of it, that isn't needed. And they're also not very organized, to be honest. They would start out talking about dental procedures and how it contributes to endocarditis or increases your risk for endocarditis. And then it go back to bacteria and then back to dental procedures. If you're going to talk about something like dental procedures increasing the risk of endocarditis, talk about it here and keep it here. Don't keep bringing it up as we go down the video. It also brought up bacteria and a great wealth of information about it. We did not need to know as much as they provided regarding the bacteria. And as a nursing student who doesn't know very much and wants to do well, I'm going to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to study everything that guy said. It's important because if it weren't, it wouldn't be in the video. It's important, but maybe for a microbiologist, it's not important for a nursing student trying to pass the exams. I wrote down something that was provided, and it said in the video, alpha stream fin A 36D KDA protein S sanguinis fabria. What? Excuse me? I have no idea what that means. All I know is you do not need that for nursing school. So these terms, it's not appropriate. We're not going to want to watch the rest of the video, and that's kind of what happened. It lost me there. It was also dry, it was boring, too much information, a lot of statistics about how many people had infective endocarditis in the 1920s and then the 1940s in comparison to now. Again, great information. We do not need to know it to pass our nursing exams. It's too much. So they also used a lot of filler words. They didn't get to the point. And I would never use Lecturio as a nursing student because it was more confusing and frustrating than anything else. As far as nrsng.com goes, my biggest complaint with them was I found it difficult to navigate the information. So I'm not sure if that's because I had limited access because I didn't subscribe to the actual webpage, which involved me spending money, but I had very limited access. They didn't really explain things that in depth. I feel like they're the opposite of Lecturio. They didn't give me enough information. So they described left and right-sided heart failure and the differences using two mnemonics, CHOP and HEAD, and that was it. I felt like they needed to add a little bit more. Again, the nursing interventions and priority are key. They did have a lot of questions on their webpage, which I had to say that was very helpful. Those questions were helpful. I would use them. And nursing school, I used a lot of questions. That was a big way of how I studied. It kept my mind going and I wasn't ever bored. So I liked that about the website. I also didn't like how they compartmentalized everything. So I would have left and right sided heart failure here, and then I'll have medications used for left and right sided heart failure here, like metoprolol, lisinopril, ACE inhibitors, all the ACE inhibitors, and all the ARBs. So as a nursing student, I was not like determining the difference between ACE inhibitors and ARBs was very hard for me in the beginning. So having them separated like that isn't helpful. I would have wanted to provide them in the video with heart failure or blood pressure meds. I just think putting them together often would help me realize like, oh, this is a heart failure med. This can be used for blood pressure. But they separated all the meds, potassium, Lasix, and I didn't really love that about it. Other than that, I don't think it was a terrible website. Again, I'm not sure I would use it as a nursing student because it was difficult to navigate, which could be time consuming. And I wasn't sure, I would have to figure out which meds were used for what. Like, how do I know that this isn't used for glomerulonephritis and not heart failure? So that was my only complaint with nursing. NRSMG.com, I'm sorry. But that's all I pretty much have as far as that goes. I think a lot of priority and intervention is important, and I think delegation questions are also important. Including questions in the content is a big thing for me. Like, as a student, I really enjoyed the questions. So I hope that was helpful. Bye.